Hi everyone, it's me, Gabrielle here, or Gabrielle Coveton, or Gabrielle the Fighting Scroll, which is the English word for someone who writes sagas and tales about showings or deeds or happenings or folks. So, as you know, I chose to make this film with my big Toybiz doll. Now, a lot of folks are going to say that the same flaws about the smaller ones are the same thing with the bigger ones. And it's true. If you see this film, this staff here broke. And I always had to use all kinds of tape to hold it together. I use all kind of tape to hold the staff on my hand, or it just falls off my hand. And had to tape it to my foot of my boot, and you know how that goes. Now, I know that by now it's just 2025 YL, and to scave Toybiz for how they made any dolls, this is dumb by this time. But here's the things I just don't understand. Alright, so you make a doll, and I don't care which land you make it from. Toybiz, like most businesses, had started some business, some arm over in Eastland. I don't know where. Somewhere in the Folkreich of Eastland. It is no Folkreich. And they started this business, and then they hired these folks to make the dolls. And they had the likeness, and they said, all right, the doll needs to hold the staff in the hand. I don't know. The doll needs to have this clothing. Here's the kind of hair. Here's what the doll needs to look like. They're like, here, we're going to show you some likenesses from Gabrielle from following 2 all the way up to about following 4. Now make it work. Then they send all that shit down to their Eastland arm that really puts the dolls together. And then someone goes, oh no, doll can't hold hand. Aw, shit, don't tell anyone about that. They're like, keep it to yourself if the overseer comes. And they go, what's that? The dolls don't hold the staffs? Yeah. Well, who cares about that? Just put it in a box and have it shipped out. Be thankful you live in the slight of Eastland, where this is withdrawal business owned by Toybiz and not by the Gavr law moat that a Folkreich of Eastland, because they wouldn't be yielding you that much. Or whatever the grounds is, they didn't know how to make the doll hold the staff in the hand right. So then you get the doll, you get it out of the box, and then it has the whole time holding the staff, as almost if it was never meant to hold the staff in the first did, and it was some oversight by whoever made it. Hi, Buttercup. Hi, Mimi. Fuck. Sorry, Buttercup. As if it was some kind of oversight by the one who made it. As almost if it was never meant to hold it or something. It's almost if someone is like, yeah, we don't need the dolls doesn't need to hold the staff up. So what did I have to do? I had to put film or tape. And that's just to hold the staff together, because one day I wanted to straighten it out and it broke. Then I got to put other kind of tape on my hand and tape the staff to my hand so it won't fall off. And then I had to put tape around this boot here to keep the staff from falling out. And if you think that it's only a bind that only my doll went through, my mother's doll had a hard time either holding the flying ring in her hand or holding a sword in her hand. Even Calistro seemed to have a hard time holding her sword in the hand. Now, Ares, at least there had some little slit, something that you could put that you could put a hole in the hand so it could hold it. Something that they didn't do for my mother or for me or Calistro or any of the sundry other dolls that were made around this time because they only made short ones that were big. I mean, yeah, there was a strong woman elderling one that had the staff, but it could hold it in its hand. There was there was also, don't forget, there was also the Kaiserin one. You know, also there was a Roman Xena one. There was the evil Xena one. There was a warlord one. But it was almost as if no one ever knows how to make dolls hold things unless they do something. So yeah, that's what you see here. See. So that's the end of this film. Just really wanted to, talk about the whole bind without holding a staff in my hand, without putting tape around it to keep it there. And then putting tape around the boot to keep it on my boot as well. And I'll see you all later.